First of all, my heartfelt thanks go to the Talent Quest Global, to Mr. Wakas, Ms. Maria, and to the entire organizing team for bringing together educators from across the globe to this remarkable international course, which is humanizing education in the age of AI, emotional intelligence, equity, and innovation. It's truly commendable to create spaces where educators from around the world can reflect, connect, and reimagine the future of learning. Today, I'm really delighted to share my session, which is titled as AI as a Partner. Well, I'm sorry for the disconnection. Wakas, can you hear me?
Yes, I do hear you, but it's raining here and I'm in a summer course and outdoor activity, so I'm not sure my signals are...
All right, all right.
Yeah.
All right. Let me share my screen.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Okay, all right. To begin with, let's imagine that we have two classrooms. In one classroom, which is labeled as classroom A, students sit silently and they are typing different prompts into ChatGPT or into other chatbots of generative AI to generate their essays. On the other hand, the teacher grades their papers and he or she is unaware that 80% of the essays were AI generated. So do you believe that learning is taking place? Of course, yes, but very minimal. Now imagine a second classroom, which is classroom B. In classroom B, students use AI for brainstorming, and then they engage in Socratic discussions, Socratic circles, in order to check the validity and bias of learning. Those who are not familiar with the Socratic circle, basically it's a strategy in which we have two circles, the inner circle and the outer circles. So before discussion, students are assigned to these two circles, the inner circles and outer circles. The students of the inner circle, they discuss a topic or they discuss a question. And based on that text, they basically reason depend upon the evidences that are available to them. And each student of the center contributes ideas and they ask and answer questions. We have another circle which is called the outer circle. In the outer circle, basically, the students of the outer circle listen carefully and they take notes on the discussion quality. Likewise, the outer circle student, they evaluate how the participant use evidences during discussion, how they respect each other, and how they build on ideas. And after that, they provide constructive feedback on the discussion of the inner circle. And the teacher acts as a facilitator, thereby providing his or his evaluation and critical judgment on their discussion. So we have two classroom A and classroom B. It's a short activity as a beginning. In classroom A, students are generating their essays using generative AI. And in the second classroom, students are basically brainstorming their ideas, and after that they are actively involved in the discussion. So in this classroom, the learning is basically transformative, not minimal. So the question to all of you is, what do you think, which classroom is preparing students for 2035 and why? So please all the participants come to the chat box and come up with your responses. We have the scenario of two classrooms, classroom A and classroom B. In classroom A, all the students are using the application of generative AI to generate their essays, but they do not include the human element in that production. In the second classroom, students are engaged in using AI, but they basically brainstorm ideas, and after that they critically evaluate the ideas generated by the generative AI. So what do you think, which classroom is preparing students for 2035 and why? Please come to the chat box and share your responses. Yes. Okay, class B. All right. Without any doubt, class B preferred. Nice. For showroom B, use of AI for brainstorming. Dr. Ubaid. Yes, class B. Could you please share the reason as well, that why do you think that class B is producing students for 2035? So please come up with the reason as well. Why do you think that a classroom B is preparing students for 2035? Brainstorming yourself and then using AI to reform the ideas. Okay. All right. Okay. Second one, of course. All right. Confident of critical thinking. Okay. So classroom B is preparing students for 2035 because uh, classroom B basically develop the critical thinking. Nice. Because they're using AI for value addition to their own mental capabilities, of course, because the students are not completely relying upon AI and using their own critical evaluation skills to generate their answer. True, good known. It's very technical to handle that whether the student use GPT or written by himself. It's very ambiguous for teacher even to know the language used in the classroom. Therefore, the understanding of tech languages be all right. They will not depend on AI, but surely will help them to work more fast. All right, that's perfectly fine. Now we can practically use generative AI. Like I have received certain responses against my questions. We can copy all these responses and put it into generative AI like ChatGPT, and we can ask ChatGPT to uh, categorize or give themes to these different responses based on these questions. So ChatGPT or generative AI will create a table for us based on the themes that are available in this conversation, of course. So let me talk about that later on. Thank you so much. Let's move forward. Like the central thesis for or today's webinar is that will AI diminish the human element of teaching and learning, or will it amplify it? So this is a question which is central to our today's discussion. Like today, we are facing a defining choice in education. Like most of the teachers, most of the educators, they are worried that whether the human elements of teaching will be diminished because of the generative AI, or will it amplify our learning? Will it facilitate us? So we would be talking about this scenario based on the statistic and data-driven insights that we have. The Microsoft 2025 report claims that AI adoption or the use of AI in the teaching learning process, it is basically rapidly accelerating in the education sector. But it further claims that the use would be effective when we use AI to complement the teaching learning process and not replace the traditional learning methods. So the use of AI is basically not to replace the traditional teaching learning methods, but rather to support it, rather to further amplify it. We have the World Economic Forum report 2025. According to this report, the global AI education market is projected to grow from $0.18 billion, which was in 2024, to $112.3 billion by 2034. So look, there is a huge difference. There is a huge rise in the investment in this sector. Likewise, according to the report of Microsoft 2025, 45% of educators globally and 52% of US students report that they have not received any AI training. So basically, we have a training gap as well. So on one side, we would be looking upon the partnership of human element and generative AI. And on the other hand, we would be trying to understand the AI education landscape, that what is the current reality. Likewise, we would be looking at the partnership paradigm, and we would be talking about the redefining roles. By redefining roles, I mean that traditionally teachers were considered as the deliverer of the contents, but now their roles have been changed. They are now considered the architect of the educational experiences, and they are no more only the deliverers of the content. Likewise, we would be looking upon the equity and access, closing the digital divide, which is basically make sure that everyone has access to the generative AI. And we would be talking about the human connection, which is basically the irrepressible core, which means that the human element cannot be eliminated from the teaching learning process, even at the rise of the generative AI. And we would be looking at some real classroom examples as well. So let's come to part first before moving to a short and brief activity. In the part first, we are trying to basically explore the AI education landscape, that what is the current reality, and we would be looking at some data. So these are basically data-driven insights which are taken from authentic sources. 65% of higher education students believe they know more about their professor about AI. And this is basically the report of Engage Group 2025, which is a global education technology company. So now look, there is a training gap between the current landscape of AI. Like 65%, it's a very huge number that education students believe, 65% believe that they know more than their professor about AI. Likewise, according to the same Cengage group, They state that 45% of students wish their professor used and taught AI skill in the relevant courses. So these findings suggest that the current landscape of AI in teaching learning process is not that much practically implemented. Like there is still a huge gap between the implementation and the training between the educators and the students. Likewise, we have the finding from the American School District, which roughly, according to that finding, roughly half of the US school district basically, they provided training to teachers about generative AI, which is twice as the previous fall, as of fall 2024. So the training is basically increasing in this sector as well. So on one hand, we have a training gap. On the other hand, the uh, countries, the institutions, they are basically trying to train their teachers to provide access to the students in the generative AI in order to effectively implement it in the teaching learning process to amplify it. Okay, now before moving to our activity, uh, first of all, we are looking at a scenario where we are imagining that what artificial intelligence can and cannot do. This discussion is important because if we try to bridge the gap between the AI and the human connection, so this understanding is very much indispensable. First of all, we should know that what are the things that artificial intelligence can do and what are the things that artificial intelligence cannot do. So those things in which artificial intelligence can be used inside the classroom, the teaching learning process, and what are those things that cannot be used in the teaching learning process for which the human element is required. So let's look at this scenario briefly. Like we have certain strength of artificial intelligence, it processing vast information rapidly. like it's a common observation that AI can read, it can sort and understand huge amount of information in seconds. For example, if you ask AI to find the main points from 10 research papers, it can summarize them very quickly. Let me share my screen. Uh, just a second. Let me share my screen. Like, okay, like this is ChatGPT. I'm giving it a document. Let's say mm, one about the UNESCO framework or dimensions regarding the use of AI, and then we would give a prompt to ChatGPT to summarize the whole document. So this is how it can read the vast information in seconds and give us a summary of a lot of information in seconds, like uh, summarize this document in sample words. And let's say what the ChatGPT give us. So basically, this is the results that run to summarize or summarize only visible heading is go for option second, let's say. So now look, this is the document overview, and the whole document has been summarized in seconds. So this is how ChatGPT or other generative AI give us a lot of information in seconds. Now look, all the information has been summarized in seconds. So one of the strength of it can process vast information in seconds. Likewise, It can generate multiple perspectives. ChatGPT can ChatGPT and other generative AI application uh, uh, what are the different reasons or why do people migrate? So it would give us different reasons that why people migrate or people do migrate. So it would give us the economic reason. It would give us the political reasons. It would give us the economic reasons, and it could of course give us multiple reasons. So ChatGPT and other application, generative AI application, it can read a lot of information in a short duration of time. Likewise, it can generate multiple perspectives, so we can use it effectively in the teaching learning process. Likewise, it can personalize the contents, like we can prepare it just listen to the each learner's need. For example, if one student learns fast and another needs more help, so ChatGPT or other AI tools can give them different activities based on their progress. And teachers know that this kind of personalization is basically hard for teachers to do for every student, but AI can manage it for many learners at once. Likewise, it can automate routine tasks. Like some tasks are very repetitive or time consuming, like grading multiple choice questions or checking grammar or making quizzes template, but AI can do it very quickly. Likewise, it can provide instant feedback. So feedback, let's say that a student write an essay and then he give his production to any AI tool, let's say application, ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude, and he or she asks the ChatGPT to provide uh, feedback on his or her writing. So definitely the ChatGPT will give feedback on the production of the students. So it can be very handy when it comes to getting the feedback or providing feedback to students. Likewise, it can create different materials, differentiated materials. Every student in the class is different. So to cater to the needs of different individuals, AI can produce different versions of the same lesson. For example, it can simply simplify a story for beginners and make a deep version of it for the advanced learner. So this basically allows all students to work on the same topic, but at their own level. So AI has certain strength, and afterwards, inshallah, I would show you that how to use it. Like we have certain tools that a teacher can uh, effectively implement inside the class. Like we have Magic School, we have Breast, and we have, of course, like Socrative and other applications that are very handy for the teachers. But along with these strengths, AI has got certain limitation as well. Like it cannot replicate empathy and emotional intelligence. AI cannot feel emotions. Like sometimes you might have observed that it can write kind words, but it doesn't actually care. And like students need someone who can understand them, understand their feelings, understand their struggles, understand their motivation. So this element cannot be replaced by AI. So the human connection is required here. Likewise, AI, they lack contextual understanding of individual student needs. When it comes to the actual classroom setting, so AI doesn't truly know the background of each and every student, the family situation, the learning styles of a student. It cannot see when a student is tired or when he or she is anxious or unmotivated. So basically, humans can notice these details. So this is how human element is. necessary or indispensable in the teaching learning process. So AI, it's not a replacement basically. It's basically our partner. It is not here to replace the teacher, but rather to facilitate teachers. On the other hand, AI cannot build authentic relationship. Uh, uh, like you might have observed that students connect with their teachers because of kindness, because of their affection, with the shared experiences, not just because of the correct answer. But AI doesn't have that emotional bond to connect with the students. And sometimes AI data may perpetuate biases because AI learns from the data which is written by human. So if data includes unfair ideas or stereotypes that is given to the AI, so AI might repeat those concepts. Like for example, if old data mostly talks about men scientists, so AI might suggest very few example of women scientists. So here the teachers, the human element is most indispensable because teachers are to make sure and they would check for the fairness in order to avoid biasness. Likewise, AI cannot replace ethical judgment and value formation. Like it doesn't actually know that what is morally right or what is wrong. And of course, it struggles with the cultural nuances and sensitivity. Like you might have observed that sometimes it misunderstands jokes or idioms or cultural habits. Uh, like for example, a phrase that sounds polite in one culture may seem rude in another. So human understand these cultural nuances and deep meaning, but AI often misses it. So now that we have understood that what AI can and what generative AI cannot, so let's shift our mind shift from the replacement to partnership. That AI is not our replacement, but rather it is our partner in the teaching learning process. Okay, now we are moving towards an activity. Okay, please in the chat box, uh, think about one task that where AI could be your partner and not a replacement. Like think about any task in your own context where AI could be your partner and not a replacement. So we have three basic questions. Uh, think about a task. What would AI handle in that task? And what would you handle in that task? And how this benefit your context or your students? We have 4 to 5 minutes for this activity. Please come to the chat box. In the chat, share one task, take it from your actual classroom context where AI could be your partner and not a replacement. Please come to the chat box. Think about one activity where AI could be your partner and not your replacement. And then what would you handle in that task and what would AI handle? And how this benefit your students? Take some time, please. Think of any task. Well, it shaped that task to the student, that help the student to do that task accordingly. For example, how to write proposal. It gives heading, comment sequence like intro, object, and basic topics. Okay, all right. So that is the kind of task that AI would handle in the teaching learning process. And what would you handle in that task? Like if the task is to write a proposal or to teach a proposal. So what would AI handle in this task, and what would we handle being educators or teachers? Okay, reading activities in the ESL classroom, Sayyidul Abrar. AI can help to give suggestions but can't do it for us. Excellent. Okay, like you are creating activities for ESL class, and then you involve your students basically to critically think upon the activities or to critically think upon the AI generated text in a way, and then you are critically providing your reflection. Literature review through AI references. Okay, literature review, let's say that literature review is written through AI, so that is AI elements. So what would we do in that literature review? Like where would be the human element in making a lesson plan? Of course, Ruch Raza, I would give prompt to AI what my student needs, what I want my student to learn exactly. And one of the tools for making lesson plan besides ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini is basically Magic School or Breast, and we would be talking about it later on if we have time. Use critical thinking for finding the gaps. Okay, all right. Yes, we have 2 to 3 minutes left in our feedback. Think about a task where AI could be your partner and not a replacement. Like in that task, you being a teacher or being a scholar or student have to do something, and AI would facilitate you, and the combination would benefit us. Why this slide is muting chat? Why the slide is muting chat? I don't really understand what does it mean. I'm sorry for that. Generating quiz or exam questions with the new and unique case studies. Okay, I'll give idea and topic to all students will learn by solving new case studies. All right, like you are giving the background information of the students and you are ensuring equity, inclusion, and diversity. Nice. Dr. Muhammad Bilal, AI would be helpful if smart way utilize AI tool, best researcher will be utilized AI better way, exactly. Institution management and planning, fine. Okay, for example, task is Saliha Javed Paracha, teaching English in communication classroom. AI can help in generating an activity that can help in understanding vocabulary. I can implement that activity in classroom by making it more interactive to develop interest among students. Exactly. AI is this tool for research analysis and SPSS. Now look, like with AI, different chatbots and application, like the job and the task responsibility of the statistician uh, has reduced, but the scope of the statistician still remain the same. The human element is still there. Like it's like I can say like a calculator which has facilitated the job of every one of us, but it has not replaced either mathematician or statistician. So I is like we can use it effectively AI tools to facilitate our work. Okay, all right. And now like I can copy all these responses from the chat box. and I can easily give it to the chat GPT or Claude or Gemini, and I can ask the chat GPT to arrange the whole responses based on certain themes against these three questions. So it will do it, and we can use it then for our data purposes, for research, etc. So look, AI is basically serving us. AI is not there to replace us, but rather it is serving us. So now that we have seen that AI is not a replacement, but rather uh, it's our partner. So let's turn towards our second part, which is basically the partnership paradigm. Like initially, the AI, generative AI, it was seen as a threat. And most of the educators, most of the teachers, teachers afraid, they were worried that AI might take their jobs or make their students depend on machine thinking for themselves. And it was a common belief that it would harm creativity and would make the teaching less important. So initially, it was considered as a foe, as an enemy. Then, over time, teacher realized that AI is similar to other tools like projectors, like computers, or the internet. And it's not a threat, it's not an enemy. It can help us prepare lessons, it can make quizzes, and saves our time. However, teachers were still the ones who were making decisions, like generative AI were replacing the job of the teacher. Rather, was they were facilitating basically the job. So in simple words, in stage two, it became a helper from the threat. But still, uh, these tools were not part of the teaching process itself. And now many educators are moving towards a new stage, and they see basically AI as a partner. So in this view, basically AI is not replacing us. Rather, AI is working with us. It can take care of our repetitive tasks, and it allows us to focus on creativity, empathy, and guidance, for which human connection is indispensable. So together, humans and AI can make learning more personal, more faster, and of course, more engaging. So in simple words, now like we have a paradigm shift and the roles are redefining. So now AI has become a teaching partner that help us do more, not less. So it should not be seen as a threat, but rather as our partner. So like after seeing the various benefits and understanding the concept that AI is not a threat, but rather it's our partner, it facilitates us. So according to the World Economic Forum 2025 report, 73% of educators now they see the balance benefits or the positive potential of AI to be used in the teaching learning process. Now, we have talked about three stages. Like initially, it was seen as a threat. AI was seen initially as a threat, as an enemy, and then as a tool. And now, most of the educators see it as a partner. So, what is your view? How do you see AI in your own professional context? Please come to the chat box and come up with your responses that how being an educator do you see AI? Is that a threat? Is it a tool? Or it's a partner? And why do you think so? That it's a threat or tool or partner? The reasons behind your selection. Okay. As a tool, as a partner, as a tool, all right. Okay, we have 2 minutes for this activity. Come to the chat box, please. Tool as a partner. Okay, all right. As a tool, tool as a partner, all right. Tool and partner as well, including two categories, I agree. All right, as a working tool, fine. Okay, partner, but at least it is not perceived as a threat, which is the initial perception of many. All right. Okay, in the chat box, in the comment, I have been using as a tool, all right. Uh, one tool that you are using in your teaching learning process, mostly you use that generative AI tool in your teaching learning. Dr. Muhammad Bilal, if we use positive way, then partner. If we use AI negative way, then it would be a threat. But tool is both aspects. Sometime as a threat for those who are addicted with AI. Okay. Like they use make a difference in simple words. Okay. Which basically you are using it either as a tool or as a partner. But mention the name of one tool that you most often use in your teaching learning process. Rabbi, okay. Partner for an expert and threat for naive. All right. Haris Khan. All right. And note. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's move. Partner like professional hacker and threat like hackers. Okay. Let's move. Uh, UNESCO has basically developed 15 competencies, which is basically to help teachers and educators use AI wisely. So UNESCO 2024, they have created AI competency framework for teachers in order to facilitate teachers to use it effectively. And those 15 competencies are basically grouped under the five dimensions. So dimension first is basically the human-centered mindset. Sorry, the human-centered mindset. This broad dimension reminds teacher that a human must stay in control of teaching and learning and not the technology. In simple words, it means that human lies at the center of the teaching learning process and not the vice versa. Uh, like a human guides the AI, not the other way around. So human is still at the center of the teaching learning process, and the educators and teachers basically they are accountable for all teaching decisions, including when AI is used and how to guide students to use AI effectively that can benefit both society as well as to protect the environment. So the main authority still lies at the hands of the teacher. Likewise, we have the second dimension, which is ethics of AI. So this part of the UNESCO framework is basically about doing the right thing with technology. So teachers and educators must ensure that AI is fair and not biased. AI is safe and it is transparent. So, in simple words, we can say that teachers and educators they shouldn't share information of the students carelessly. Likewise, they must ensure that whether the data generated by AI is fair or it is biased or it is factually correct, etc. So, teachers are to make all these decisions. The third dimension is AI foundations and applications. So in this dimension, this basically means that teachers are required to understand how AI works and how to use it thoughtfully. But it doesn't mean that teachers or educators must be the computer scientists, but they should know at least the basic functions and the limits of using AI. Then we have the fourth dimension, which is the AI pedagogy. And this dimension focuses on how teachers can integrate AI into teaching and learning process. In the comments, some comments were about making lesson plan or designing lessons or assessment or differentiated learning. So all these are basically, all this is basically for facilitation and not for replacing the traditional methods. So in AI pedagogy, the main concern is that how to integrate AI into lesson design. Okay, how many of you design lessons through AI for your classroom? In the chat box, please come to the chat box and only in 2 minutes, come up with your responses that how many of you design your lessons for your classroom using AI. Seek. Okay. All right. Okay. Most of time nowadays, sometimes. Okay. Okay, let me show you a very basic tool which can be used. I do comparative analysis. Like Magic Spool. Let me share the screen first. Okay, I'm sure the screen is shared. So let's type Magic Spool, and you just need a sign up and make an account. And once you sign up, okay. Once you sign up, then this screen will appear. Go to the teacher's tool, and there are certain tools. We have Rayana. You can ask it any question. For example, let's ask, is AI in education is a threat or a partner? So let's see how does it respond. So look, this is the response of the Rayana, that AI in education is best seen as a partner rather than a threat. It offers many benefits such as personalized learning, instant feedback, and freeing up teachers' time from routine tasks, and they can concentrate more upon the human element. So again, go to the teacher's tool. And now look, there are certain options like if you want to generate an image, worksheet generator. It's very useful for teachers. Like you can generate different worksheets. Like for example, we are clicking on it. Now they would be asking for the grade level. Uh, let's select uh, grade 8, and then they would ask for the topic. Let's write a simple topic like noun and its kinds. And then we are going to generate a worksheet. So now look, this tool is very useful for teachers and educators. Like they have created now a worksheet for grade 8 students regarding nouns and the kinds of nouns. So there are fill in the blanks, there are multiple choice questions, and there are open-ended questions, and the keys are also given, and you can customize these questions according to your own need. Like you can make certain modifications. Again, we can go to the teachers tool, and there are other options as well. Like you can generate a multiple choice quiz or assessment, and it will automatically generate the quiz or questions for you. Likewise, we can generate a lesson plans on any topic. Let's generate a lesson plan. Like I'm again selecting the same level, which is grade 8, and here they are asking for the topic, standard and objective. So here you can give clear instructions. Like the topic is noun and kinds of noun, let's say, and then objectives to enable the students to understand noun and its kind. So you can give it certain instructions, and after that, if there is any additional criteria, you can add it here, and then you could ask for generating the lesson plan. And now look, you can generate customize lesson plans for your grades and classes, and all these are free tool accessible. Like look, everything is here in seconds. So now look that again we are going back uh, to the old paradigm. So a teacher will spend a lot of time like making the lesson plans. So yes, a teacher can make certain modification in his or her lesson plan according to their requirement, but it really helped us to further facilitate our work and to make our work easier. Now teachers, they can concentrate more on uh, significant tasks like how to connect to the students, how to give them feedback, uh, how to take care of their emotions, their feelings. So the human elements will come from the side of the teachers, but the AI tool are really facilitating our job. So this is one example, and these examples could be multiplied. Okay, let's move to the next part, which is basically we were talking about the AI pedagogy. So this was the fourth dimension of the UNESCO framework, AI pedagogy. So teachers and educators, they can basically integrate AI into designing their lessons, and they can also use for differentiation in order to ensure equity and inclusion. But these tools are not there to replace the traditional methods like reading, discussion, and writing. Rather, these are to further enhance and to balance the work, to further enhance and make the work of teacher more easy. Uh, so, and simply we can say that teachers should blend AI with real teaching to make learning more richer. Okay, coming towards the fifth dimension, which is AI for professional development. So it simply means that AI is not only for teaching students. Even educators and teachers learn and grow using AI. So AI should be used for ongoing professional development. So according to this framework of UNESCO, which has 5 dimensions and 15 competencies, and the link will be shared with you. You can read the document yourself. There are 5 dimensions and 15 competencies, and these are basically to facilitate the teacher that how to use AI effectively. Okay. As we have talked about that, the paradigm has been changed. So now the role of the teacher has also been changed. Now the teachers are seen no more as sage sitting on the stage and providing all the information, but rather he is orchestrator, like the architect of the learning experiences. So a teacher is seen no more as the deliverer of the content, rather he is seen as the architect of the experiences, thereby designing different learning activities for his or her students. In this AI partnership, like how teacher is the architect or designer of the experiences, he or she has got certain responsibilities. Like the teacher is a curator, he would select the appropriate AI tool and resources. Like for example, teacher can choose the right AI tool, let's say ChatGPT for essay planning, Canva for visual, and Duolingo for language practice. So he is a curator. At the same time, he would work as a facilitator. He would help students compare AI generated ideas and discuss which one makes sense. This element is very much important. Like if we thoughtlessly or students thoughtlessly generate ideas via ChatGPT or uh, flawed, and they do not discuss critically the ideas generated by these generative AI application or chatbots, then the human element would be missing. So a teacher would facilitate and he would make sure that their students have properly and critically analyzed and discussed the ideas generated by the generative AI application. And he would of course work as evaluator, like he would check that the AI written text is accurate and well organized or not. And he would also work as a mentor. He would listen to students, and he would also provide assistance to struggling students and ensure that they are confident in their learning. And of course, this is the most important, that he would be an ethical guide in this partnership, because he would remind the student that not to copy AI text blindly or misuse AI during exam. He would make sure that the students are using the generative AI effectively and creatively. Okay, so far we have talked about the partnership of AI and humans. Now we are moving towards another activity, which is basically the partnership scenario. You have 3 scenarios on the screen. Choose one scenario. And again, we are discussing the partnership aspect. In the first scenario, uh, using AI for feedback. So your task is, if you choose this scenario, what should AI analyze and what should you analyze? We are talking about a partnership in this scenario. The second scenario talks about mathematics, maths instruction. So if you choose this scenario, how do you use AI and what should you provide and what should AI provide? And if you go for the third scenario, which is using AI for language learning, so what should AI handle and what should you handle? We are having this activity for 4 minutes. So please come to the chat box, select one scenario, choose one scenario, and then come up with your reply to these 2 questions. What would you handle and what would AI handle in the scenario that you have chosen? Yes, please come to the chat box and come up with your views regarding any of these scenarios. Okay, like so far, we are trying to establish the link and partnership between humans and AI. We are focusing on using AI as a tool to facilitate our work, to do the routine task for us, for teachers, for educators, to save our time, to plan our work, design our experiences, teaching learning experiences effectively, very effectively, I'm sorry. And then the human element of critically analyzing the produced material, and then involve your students in circles to discuss the produced material, to ensure equity, inclusion, empathy. So we are basically making a partnership or a bond of AI and humans. Please in the comment, choose. Okay, I'm taking help for multi-grade teaching lesson plan with the help of Unita's a lesson plan, activities, resources, peer learning through AI. Nice. Okay, for teaching language French, Saleha Javed Paracha, I can make a prompt in which I can specify native language words and I can help in providing French vocabulary uh, for those words by making an activity such as flashcard or matching column. I can then apply those activities in class. Nice. Okay, come up with your comments. Okay, let's move uh, towards our third part, which is basically the equity and access. Uh, like and the urgent imperative. This is the third part of our presentation. Like it simply means that giving fair and equal opportunities to all learners to use AI and digital tools in an immediate and essential need. Like uh, it should be ensured that all have access to the generative AI so that all of the students benefits equally and not just a few privileged uh, get the benefit of it. So basically, we are ensuring equity. How the equity should be ensured? To provide access to all to these applications or to these different generative AI applications and chatbots. And this is basically urgent because the educational paradigm is continuously changing. So giving equal access to all students is the need of the time. So there are some statistics the UNESCO report claimed that 2.6 billion people, which is roughly the 32% of the global population, they basically lack the internet access. And 1.8 billion people, they are basically living in the rural areas. So we have the gap in infrastructure, and mostly 60% of the primary schools and half of the lower secondary schools basically, and one third of the upper secondary school globally, they are not connected to the internet. So these are some statistics that there is the gap in the infrastructure which should be bridged in order to ensure access to all students and access to everyone. There is the access gap, there are some low income families who cannot afford internet or devices. So when someone cannot afford access to generative AI application, so this basically keeps the poorer students to use AI effectively. Then there is the gap in the skills and training, students who already do well benefit most from the AI. But those students who are struggling and who need extra help, basically, they lack the required skill are supposed to effectively take benefit out of it. So in the third part, basically, we are supposed to ensure that everyone has an access to these generative AI applications in order to ensure equity and inclusion. Now, what are the solutions for it? Like, how should this be ensured? So, universal access should be given. This is basically the responsibility of the government. So, government and non-government organizations who can they can basically offer free or low-cost access to all the students. In addition, the internet and AI literacy should be ensured because it's a basic right. For bridging the gap in training, teachers should be trained and school leaders should be trained to use the AI fairly and effectively. Likewise, in order to ensure fairness and avoid biasness, local languages, local cultures, and values should be integrated and should be reflected in these generative AI applications. And there should be teacher training on the creation of the local content. So this should also be supported in order to bridge this gap. There should be community-based initiative as well. Like I can give you one example, like in Namibia, teachers basically they use a single computer and projector to enhance their lesson. And of course, there should be uh, policymaker, teachers, technology experts, and communities. They must work together in order to ensure fairness and provide access to each and everyone. So, bridge the equity and access gap that most of the students they do not have either access to the generative AI application or they do not have the required resources. So this bridge should be filled in order to ensure equity and inclusion. Now, coming towards the final part of our presentation, which is basically the human connection. And this is basically the irrepressible core. Like, so far we have seen that AI is becoming very common, but the human connection is there. Like, if we talk about care, empathy, or real relationships, so they remain essentials, and the AI and technology cannot replace them. Okay, now there are certain things that should be considered, like there is the empathy gap. So, what basically research tell us about AI and human connection? So we are basically discussing these points based on the research that have been conducted in the field. Like Zhang et al. 2024 talk about basically the empathy gap that AI chatbot can help give quick answers, but they cannot feel emotion and they cannot form real bonds like humans do. So real learning basically needs empathy, care, and trust, which only humans can do. So the human element is still central to the teaching learning process. Likewise, during the COVID-19, when classes went online, students reported that they learned better when parents and teachers stayed involved in their teaching learning process, which basically shows that human support is indispensable when it comes to teaching learning process. Likewise, there is basically SEL, social emotional learning in the AI era. So far we have talked about it that AI can help students by giving personalized support and increased engagement, but it also brings like the loss of personal touch, bias, and privacy issue. So there should be a balance. There should be a balance between the AI and the human being. Like sometimes AI can support emotional learning by helping students to reflect, communicate, and stay engaged. Like let me give you an example. Like a student who is very shy and who do not ask question in the class, but the same student can communicate with the AI chatbot for practice, and this would build his self-esteem before the real social interaction. Likewise, if the chatbot asks a student or any user that how did you feel about your learning today? So basically, this question, how did you feel about your learning today, help them to become more aware of their own emotions. And there are certain tutoring tools, like certain platforms are there, like Squirrel AI, basically which allow the student to practice without the fear of judgment. And when the student practice without the fear of judgment, basically it reduces their social anxiety and help them build their confidence before sharing in the class. So AI is basically helping us. It facilitates us. In addition, like it has made the work of teacher very much easy. Like from the routine task like grading, you can create any assessment via any generative AI application, and there are of course some specifics for it, and they can grade it as well. So now the teachers are free from grading their assessment. So teachers now they can focus more on the human connection, which is basically mentoring, counseling, and emotional care, which are very much important. So, like to make it very much simple, AI can facilitate us, but teacher must ensure that the use of AI is ethical, the use of AI respect different cultures, and they keep human care and connection at the heart of the learning. Okay, nice. Okay, now we are looking at some practical example where we are basically trying to design activities, and there are some practical strategies for connection, like how to maintain, establish this connection between AI and human being. So the first is that AI enhance human-centered activities. I can give you a very simple example. Like, let's say the students use AI to gather information, and let's say about the effects of the climate change. Then the teacher discuss and debate with the students those ideas, and they actually challenge the ideas that are generated by the generative AI. Like, what are the effects of the climate change? and the output is discussed, is critically analyzed among the students, and the teacher facilitate the process. The teacher basically guide the student that how to think critically and make their own conclusion based on the output that is generated by AI. So now learning happens through teamwork. Like there is a collaboration between AI and human beings. Likewise, there could be reflective writing with the help of AI feedback. Let's say student write an essay with the help of generative AI, and then he or she gives his product to the, let's say, chat GPT, and the chat GPT provides feedback on grammar and structure, and there is an application brace for it as well, which can also give feedback, and then the same product is discussed with the peer to ensure there is meaning and there is voice, and after that the teachers and educator basically they help set the personal improvement goal for the teacher. So look at how AI and human beings are in interaction in order to ensure equity, inclusion, and effective teaching learning process. And there are then metacognitive strategies. And I would give a simple example to explain it. Like, let's say a teacher asks, metacognitive mean thinking about your own thinking. Like a teacher asks that a teacher give a paragraph and ask the participant and student to summarize this paragraph. Students write their own summaries in their own words. And after that, they ask AI, let's say ChatGPT, to do the same, to write the summary of the same paragraph for them. Once they write their own summary and the ChatGPT writes summaries for them, then they compare both of the versions. And then they critically think, what did AI include or miss? Which one shows better understanding? And finally, students reflect basically that how did I think? How did AI think? And what can I do better next time? So now look, this connection is basically making the students critical thinkers, not passive users. So students actually understand when to trust AI and when human insights matter the most. Okay, let's come towards another activity, which would be a brief activity for 4 minutes. I would request to please come to the chat bot. Think about your current teaching or your current professional context, and rate your current balance, that how much space do you give to human connection and how much space do you give to the AI enhanced learning. And you'd rate it from 1 to 5, like in your context, professional context, let's say in the teaching learning process, how much uh, focus you give to the human connection, human opportunities. So rate it from 1 to 5. And how much space do you give to the AI enhanced learning activities? And rate it from 1 to 5 in the chat box. And you can write it like uh, human H, let's say H3 slash A2, AI2. So H slash AI. So rate your abilities in the chat box, please. Being educators, how do you rate your use? How much space do you give to the human connection in the teaching learning process? And how much space do you give to the use of AI? And rate it from 1 to 5. Okay, there are some comments in the chat box regarding slides, so I'm sorry for that. Human connection 3 out of 5 and I 2 out of 5. Haris Khan, nice. I give more space to the media than human. Shanzeb, very informative and interactive. Thank you so much. I'm sure the slide has been changed. 3 or 5. Dr. Muhammad Bilal, thank you so much. Two or 5 by Irfan Ulum. I'm sorry if I do not if I can't pronounce the name of some participant in the right way, the way it is pronounced. So I'm really sorry for that. I give more space to the media than the human. Timothy, all right. Timothy, okay, 3 or 5. Shanzeb, 3 or 5. Okay, nice. This is basically an audit of the connection, that's how this connection is established. Okay, all right, stay on the chat box. I'm just changing the slide and moving towards another brief activity which is linked to this activity. uh, like on the screen you can see 3 questions. You both human number 5 by Muhammad Kasmi. Could you for human connection? Like for example, I can say that I could add more student to student discussion instead of just individual AI grammar exercise. So this could be the possible way to answer this question. The second is replace that connection. Like for example, I can say that as an example that AI can help but discuss different topics for discussion, and then they summarize the key points of the group discussion. But the real interaction takes place between. And then the final question is that basically last question, that what one practice you want, like I want to keep doing short reflective checking of, and try to answer these questions in the chat box. Where could you add more human connection? Where could AI support and not replace that connection? And what's one practice you want to preserve or strengthen? So again, basically, we are making a connection between human beings and generative AI. Okay, take your time. We have 5 minutes for this activity. Okay, AI support by sharing ideas and the process to do so. All right. AI connect the groups of people in one platform like same Zoom. All right. Dr. Muhammad Bilal, research-based activity, more human connection involved, AI support like LitMap tool, and many more to enhance the literature review, more best queries strengthen the topics. All right. Personality intelligence and social interaction. All right. All right. Now we have a very good data for research purposes as well. Okay, all right. Let's move. Now, like, okay, we have one new message using human connection in from Haris Khan. In critical thinking, creativity, AI is supported to enhance alternative ways, delve deeper and engross the concept. Personally, I prefer the human connection to be stronger because it would help us more. Okay, all right. Let's move towards our almost final activity. And then I would uh, take you to some of the F if we have time. Like now we are looking at individual commitments, like based on our today's discussion. Let's complete our action plan, and you can share one commitment in the chat. Like we are making a plan for ourselves, being teachers and being educators. Like my AI partnership goal. What will I implement first? Now, think about it and then come up with your responses in the chat box. Like, what will you implement first? What is the AI partnership goal? Like, how you are going to do first and what you are going to do first. The second is my equity commitment. Like, once you have decided that what you are going to implement first, then how do you ensure access of the generative AI application to all? Then number third, my connection priority. How will you maintain human-centered learning? Number four, my first tip. What will I do in the next 7 days? Like we are making a plan for establishing this human and AI connection. And finally, my support system. Who will I collaborate with? So share one commitment in the chat box. We have 5 minutes for this activity and make sure that everyone comments in this section as we are making a plan for it. Like uh, you can come up with any commitment. I can give you one example. Like if we talk about my partnership goal, like what will I implement first? So I could say that I'll start using ChatGPT to generate questions and then review them with students to teach them critical thinking. So this would be my partnership goal. Like I'm going to start using ChatGPT for generating questions. And then what would be the partnership or the human element? We would review those questions. I would review those questions with my students and we would critically discuss those questions in order to ensure that the human what is my equity commitment? How will I ensure access for all? So, being a teacher or educator, you are supposed to make sure that all students have access to AI tools by arranging, let's say, shared computers or computer sessions or provide shared screens or shared devices to those who do not have devices, like share devices with those students who do not have, and in order to ensure equity. And then your connection priority, like how will you maintain the human-centered learning? So I can say that I would begin and I would end my lessons uh, with human touch, and I would ensure discussion in the class in order to keep the emotional connection strong. And let's say what would be my first step in the next 7 days. So I'll explore one free AI tool like Google's Notebook LM or ChatGPT. And what would be my support system? So I could say that I'll collaborate with my colleagues who teaches ICT or co-plan in order to co-plan the AI integrated lesson. So this is how everyone could respond in the chat box. To understand the attitude, okay, we are getting responses. That's really nice. AI partnership should be giving ideas about and present the lesson. AI feature used in smart way, knowledge sharing with us for strong connectivity, better collaboration, good sharing. Okay. Dr. Muhammad Bilal. Really enjoyed the session. I had so many questions on mind as we started the session. I thought I'd ask at the end of the session, but right now I have no question. Thank you for your session. Thank you so much, dear Shanzev, for your generous comments. Haris Khan, using human connection in critical thinking, creativity, AI supported to enhance alternative ways, delve deeper and engross the concept. Personally, I prefer the human connection to be stronger because it would be helpful more, right? All right. Research-based activity, Dr. Muhammad Bilal, more human connection involved, AI support like Let's Make tool. Okay, we have gone through it. Okay. Okay, I would apply AI in my area of research like digital hybrid warfare and counter-terrorism for peace and prosperity. All right, that's really nice. Uh, Let me share some real classroom examples, like how can we apply practically the generative AI in the class. Like, let's say that we have the grade 10 students and they basically generate their essay using Gemini. Uh, they basically create outlines for their assignments, and after creating their outlines, they critically reflect on those outlines and they make certain changes in order to make those ideas make more refined. So in this process, on one hand, the students are basically generating ideas, and on the other hand, they are basically critically reflecting on those ideas. Likewise, the social study in a social study class, like student analyze how ChatGPT can uh, provide them with the information. So sometimes it happens that the feedback is incorrect historically. So basically, the teaching element comes here, the human connection comes here. The teacher will make sure that the information that is generated in the social study class, they are basically factually correct. So, like the human connection and AI go side by side. Likewise, let's say there is a project and students use AI for research and drafting, but the human element will come in play when they come to for collaboration in teams in order to create ideas, in order to solve problem, and in order to decide that what would be the design for the presentation. So like the human element and the generative AI, they go side by side. Uh, so let's move towards or almost final slides, and then I would be coming towards the question answer session. Like imagine a classroom in 2035, about which I have talked in the initial slide. That what do you think? Which classroom is preparing students for 2035 and why? So let's imagine that we have a classroom in 2035. In that classroom, the routine tasks such as making assessment or designing lessons or designing experiences, they are basically or giving feedback, they are handled by AI, and the teacher is now free for deep mentorship of their students. Now in that classroom, every student receive personalized support at their own level. At that classroom, there is cultural diversity, and cultural diversity is celebrated basically. And that diversity is also embedded in the learning tools. Imagine that students collaborate globally in 2035, and AI is breaking down the language barrier. Like this is one of the strengths of AI. Using AI, like it facilitates teachers and it facilitates school leaders to ensure effective communication with the parents of the students who are coming from different linguistic backgrounds. So AI would enable the teachers, AI would enable the leaders to uh, effect, ensure effective communication with those parents who speak different languages. Like for example, let's say I speak Pashto or I speak Urdu or I speak English, but I can't speak French. So how would I establish effective communication with the parents of my students if they are French? So AI would help me in that effective communication. And let's imagine that teachers have time now for creativity. They have time to establish connection and they have time for professional growth. Likewise, in that classroom, assessment measure authentic understanding. And this is not just the checking of the recall of information. And in that classroom, human wisdom basically guides the technology and not the other way around. So this future is possible if we choose partnership over replacement, equity over efficiency, and connection over convenience. Thank you so much for being with me. I'm really thankful to all of you, especially to the Talent Quest Global, Mr. Wakas and his entire team, and to all the participants who joined us for our today's webinar. Now the forum is open for discussion. I would request the moderator to switch on the mics of those participants who want to ask questions. And if there are some participants who want to ask questions in the chat box, it's open. R.S. Khan, very great and insightful session, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much. Saleha Javed Paracha, very interactive and interesting session. Thank you so much. Junaidas, thank you so much.